Hi there and welcome to the lab sessions with me, Becky. Now in this video I'm going to show you how you can create your very own wooden scrapbook, notebook or journal. Now this project was actually inspired by some of the members of staff here at Vectric. So quite often on our desks you can find us taking notes or drawing sketches, and it's so easy to actually reach out to the stationery cupboard and get a brand new notebook when you've run out of space. But there are some people at Vectric who actually take advantage of some old printouts that we have lying around and turning those printouts into a notebook of their own, where they have everything held together using this bulldog clip. And it was this that actually inspired me to make these scrapbooks. So in terms of the actual project itself, we have a cover where we've got a little bit of VCarving, we've got some holes on this side, we've got a back cover, again VCarving with some holes, and then everything is held in place using these silver rings. So hopefully this idea will help us to reuse and recycle paper more often. So not only have we created the scrapbook or the journal covers, also thought about Valentine's Day, so that's coming up next month, and we've created a similar project. So we've got a cover here, 52 Reasons Why I Love You, and we've got a deck of cards inside so you can write in a message for your Valentine. Right then, so I think we should go into the software to see how we made these. Okay, so we're in VCarve Pro. Let's head over and open an existing file. So in the project folder, we're going to open the scrapbook cover. That's going to open up the project as I've left that. Okay, so as I said, we are in VCarve Pro. The dimensions that I'm working with is 27 by 23 inches. Now, if you are using VCarve Desktop, it's not a problem. You can still cut out these designs. You're just going to have to rejig it around to fit your material. You may have to delete perhaps two of the designs so that you can fit it all on your workspace. So to start with, so what I did was I drew out a rectangle, and I did that at an A5 size. So imagine a piece of A4 folded in half. It's that size that we're working with. And then I created some holes. Now these holes are based on the holes that you create using a hole punch, because obviously we're going to take our scrap paper, we're going to use a hole punch to create the holes that we can then feed through the covers using those rings that you saw just. Okay, and so the distance between the holes I've measured carefully using a hole punch, and I've kind of put those in place here. Okay, and then obviously I've created copies of the initial layout. We've got 4 along the bottom, we've got 4 along the top. Okay, so the bottom ones are going to be the front page, the top ones are going to be the back page. That's why I've put the holes on the right hand side, so that when I come to create the design, so then we know that the back pages are in the right position for when we come to assemble the book. We have 2 extra shapes up here, so these are for the card, the 52 reasons part of this project. Okay, so we've got a outline here. So this shape is again created using the rectangle tool, and I've done that at the dimensions of a standard deck of cards, so the width and height is based on that. We've got a hole in the corner, so the hole this time is a little bit smaller. So these holes are I think just a little bit bigger than 1/4 inch. If we just ungroup that one by pressing U, and then if I click on that, they are actually 1/4 inch there. And so for the holes for the deck of cards, you can see I've just done that a little bit bigger than 1/8 inch. And the reason for that is because obviously we are working in a much smaller area. We just want to make those holes a little bit smaller so we have more surface area for us to create a design on. Okay, so that's that, and then again we've kind of reversed that for the back page as well. Okay, so if we go to our layers bar, okay, so that's the cover, outlines and the holes. So then we've got this layer here called design. So if we just switch that layer on, we can take a look at what we've got here. So we'll carry on talking about the cards here. So over here we've got some text, 52 reasons why I love you. So we've done this using the text tool, and we've got two different fonts going on here. Now if you wanted to change any of the text, you're more than welcome to. You can simply just come over to the draw text tool, where you could just change what's in here by just typing that in. In this case I'm just going to leave that as that is, and we'll just close out there. Okay, and then on the back side of the cover for the deck of cards, we've got Valentines, we've got a heart there, and we've got the year 2022. Okay, so that's pretty much that for the Valentines covers. And then looking at the bottom over here, we've got the different designs for our scrapbooks. So on the back of each page, I have a recycle symbol, along with the text saying making the most out of the scraps. And again, you can change this to whatever it is that you want to have written here. You can change whatever the design is as well. You don't have to do this, but if you wanted to, it's all here for you. So in terms of the front cover designs, so at the bottom here we have a design where we've got the name of a person and their notes. So we've got Steph's notes here. So again, if you wanted to change that, you could just come in here and you could just put that in, and you can see it just easily changes out there. So we'll just close out. I'm just going to Control Z that, as I just want to leave that as Steph's notes there. Just got a line in here, or a rectangle even, and this is just going to act as a line that we're going to use to VCarve. So pretty much everything that you're going to see in terms of the design, we're actually VCarving into our material. Next up we have a but first recycle design. Okay, so here we've got the recycle logo, and if we just go to our layers bar, and we can see we've got our bitmap layer that's currently not showing. So if we just switch that on, and you'll see that I have various bitmaps here that I've imported, and I've actually used these to trace around some of our different designs. So for this we use the trace tool to trace around the recycle reuse logo, and from there what I did was I just took the outline and then we just offset that inwards by a particular amount. So for example, I took that, used the offset tool, offset that inwards by a very small 0.05 inches, offset inwards, and you can see that's how we created the internal part. Okay, so we'll just delete that, as it's just a duplicate there. And so by doing that, we're allowing ourselves to create vectors that are going to be ready for us to VCarve, because we need to VCarve in between vectors in order for us to do that. Okay, so there's our recycle logo. Okay, there's noplanetb. Okay, so we have this Earth, and again we took this bitmap here, just traced around it, but then I've just done a little bit extra here where I have offset those vectors inwards just to create the outlines of those countries, continents, that sort of thing. And we've also got an extra vector on the outside to act as the circle boundary for the globe itself. Okay, so that's that one. And then moving on over, we've got an idea here as a My Nature journal. So perhaps you yourself, or you have a child, or even perhaps you're working with a class of children, and you're wanting to do a project about nature, the outdoors, that sort of thing. Why not make a cover that's kind of like this, My Nature journal, and then in that scrapbook you could walk through a wood or a forest, pick up leaves. Perhaps kids could tape in the leaves, they could trace the leaves and do little wax traces of them, make notes, do drawings of trees, that sort of thing. That's kind of the idea for this one here. And so for that one, what I did is I just got a Sharpie and I just randomly did a few little doodles. You can see they're very kind of rough and ready. Brought that into the software by taking a photo of it on my phone and then getting that to my computer, where I could then import this as an image for us to trace, and that is the result of the traced images there. So you can see we've got the leaves, flowers, mushrooms and trees, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's pretty much it in terms of the design. So let's go and switch over to the toolpaths tab. Okay, so the first and most important thing we need to do is check over our material setup. So let's go in the set tool here. So the material thickness I am using is 0.196 or 5mm. XY position, I'm setting that in the lower left hand corner, Z0 on the material surface, and then we can move on down, check over the rapid Z gaps above the material, home and start position, ensuring everything is safe and appropriate for your particular setup. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is look at the VCarve toolpath. So double click on that. So I've already created this, but we'll just go in, we'll take a look at what we've got in here. Okay, so we're basically VCarving all of the designs here. Okay, so you can see they're all highlighted, and we're going to look at using a 60-degree V-bit tool. Okay, we're going to use that, and that's going to machine in between all of the vectors to create that V-groove style carving. Okay, we can give that a name and then go ahead and press calculate, and then we can go and take a look at how that's going to look. Okay, so we can see the toolpath here, so we can see how it's going to travel around the board like so, but we can also preview that. So let's just take a look at the preview. So we'll just slow that down a little, preview that, and we can see exactly what we're going to get when we come to run this on the CNC. Okay, so just zooming in, we just want to make sure that we're happy with everything here. We're picking up the detail and we're happy, so we'll put that in Z, and then we can close out of that preview. And so with that, we can move on to the next toolpath. So back to the 2D view. So next up, we want to cut all of the holes. Okay, so I'm using a pocket toolpath for this. So if I double click on the pocket toolpath, again, I've already created this. Okay, so I just want to add this into here as well, as we just ungrouped that earlier. Okay, so we're cutting all the way through our material, and we're going to look at using an 1/8 inch tool to cut this out. Okay, and then we're going to do that in an offset strategy. So it's going to start from the center and kind of work its way out, and we'll just give that a name. We'll just call that pocket, and then go ahead and press calculate. We can see the path and how it's going to travel around the board, and then we could go ahead and preview that. And you can see it's cut all the way through the material there, which is exactly what we wanted. Let's close out here. Finally, we want to look at cutting out all of our parts out of the actual material sheet. So we're going to use a profile toolpath, which is this one here. Again, I've already created this. Let's just double click on that toolpath there. That will bring up the actual toolpath form. So again, we're cutting all the way through our material. We're using the same tool, that 1/8 inch down cut tool. We're machining outside of the vectors. Okay, so the tool's going to follow the outside. We've got some tabs in here to hold our parts in place. So they're an 1/8 inch in length, and they're a thickness of 0.1. So that should hold everything together and keep that attached to our sheet. And then because they are tabs, we can just simply just saw those tabs away, and then just do a little bit of sand up just to clear all evidence of those tabs. And I've also applied some advanced additional options to our toolpath, which you can find at the bottom over here. So I want to add in ramps and leads. Okay, so a ramp enables us to ramp the tool into the material kind of in a diagonal fashion. So rather than plunging the tool straight down to the first pass step, we can actually come in at a diagonal just to kind of ease that in. And this is just going to help with the wear and tear of your tool. And then in terms of the leads, this is actually going to help us to get the best kind of quality of our cutout. So rather than starting our cut directly on the side of our cutouts, we can actually begin that a way where we can actually lead that into the cut, followed by a lead out, and that's just going to help us to avoid any kind of witness marks of the tool kind of just sitting around in one area for temporarily as it's kind of getting to its pass depth, and it just gives us a much nicer cut. So well, that's why we're adding in a circular lead. It's going to do that in a circular motion. Whilst we're doing that, we're actually ramping in as well. So we'll go ahead and calculate that, and we can take a look at that. So if we just zoom in over here, let's just take a look at the bottom. Okay, so here we can see the ramp here, okay, and the lead at the same time. Okay, so tool's going to start here and it's going to ramp in and lead into that cut. It's going to work its way around, it's going to come back out, and it's going to lead out, and it's going to exit the material over here. So at no point is that tool entering or exiting the material on the surface of our actual part that we're cutting out. So if we go ahead and just preview that toolpath, we can take a look at what we've got, and if we just zoom in again, okay, so you can see a little better at how this ramp works. So you can see it's kind of edging in and it goes deeper down, and then it's going around cutting that out, and then it's leaving up here, and it'll go back again on another pass if it needs to. Okay, so that's pretty much that, and that's all of our parts cut out. We can see we've got those tabs in place, everything's held together nice and securely, and we're able to see exactly what we're getting here, and that's the beauty of the toolpath previews. We're able to see exactly what cut we're going to get before we take that over to the CNC machine. So at this stage, if you're happy with the toolpath preview, you can then go and take all of your toolpaths and save them out into a format that your CNC machine will understand. So let's go and do that, and we'll go over into the labs and see how this turns out. so hopefully you've enjoyed this video and hopefully this inspires you to go ahead and make your own scrapbook as well. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and if you've not yet subscribed to our channel, then please hit that subscribe button to get instant updates on the latest videos that we'll be releasing. So thank you so much for watching and happy making.